Hello and welcome to the darkened room of music conversation.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to another edition of Rewind Retro Review.
Whoa!
It's scary, isn't it? All right, well, we've done this before, and this is so much fun. I love this. What we do is we take an old record, and we listen to it from start to finish, which we just did.
Yep.
And we're going chronologically by year. And so we're going to feature an album tonight for you that was originally released in November of 1981 to the rest of the world, but it found its way across the shore to the USA in June of 1982. And tell us what album that is, my friend.
That is Business as Usual from
boy.
Men at Work.
All right.
Yeah, we thought it'd be fun to pick an album that's kind of out of left field. You wouldn't expect this at all.
Right.
And, I remember loving these songs as a kid, seeing it on MTV, but I personally had never heard the whole album.
It was one of the first albums that I ever had, but I was guilty. I basically played the popular songs, and that was about it.
Yeah.
So it had been many, many moons since I had listened to this in its entirety, and I have a lot of thoughts about what I heard.
Yeah, me too. So let's get into it.
All right.
So Business as Usual spent 15 weeks at number one on the Billboard 200.
Wow.
From late 1982 to early 1983. So immensely popular album. I mean,
For sure.
I'm surprised to hear that it was on the chart for that long, especially at number one.
That was probably unprecedented at the time.
It probably was,
Yeah.
It sold 6 million copies in the United States. And here's an interesting fact. I didn't know this. It made it to number 31 on the Billboard Black Album chart.
I wonder why that was.
It's really not all that surprising because back in the early 80s, you would see lots of crossovers to that chart quite often. It was not unusual. Like Queen, Another One Bites the Dust.
Great example.
Made it to that chart as well.
Sure.
All right, so like last time, we're going to go song by song. Okay. So let's begin with track 1, side 1. Who Can It Be Now?
What a way to start.
Yeah, this is, a early memory from MTV for me, of course. Great video. It's a great memory.
Yeah.
And what an arrangement in this song.
Absolutely
the
fabulous.
Saxophone. That's one thing about the rest of the album, I'm going to say. The instrumentation is it's unusual enough that, it really catches you.
It really does.
Yeah.
And we were talking like from the first moments of the record with Who Can It Be Now. I wonder what kind of audience they were going after. I wonder what bands they were emulating.
Yeah.
And right away, I think there is definitely a Police quality to this song.
Definitely, yes. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a reggae feel to it. But yeah, very, very Police influenced.
Yes. And I obviously love the song, love it in retrospect, don't mind hearing it.
Yeah, me too.
Even still.
All right, so on to track 2. This one I really, really liked.
This song kicked my ass.
Yeah. I can see it in your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, an absolutely fabulous song. Great arrangement.
Yeah.
And really clever. You know, it's a really clever song. It kind of has a new wave quality to it. Once again, I definitely hear a lot of Sting vibe in this song.
Yeah.
But man, does it work. And coming on the heels of Who Can It Be Now, it just keeps a really strong pace.
Yeah, great track 2, definitely.
Yes.
So going on into track 3.
Iconic.
Down Under. Probably the most recognizable song by Men at Work.
And
436 million streams on Spotify.
Right, and one of the most iconic songs of the 80s, no question about it.
Totally,
I mean, if you go right to 80s music, one of the first songs that pops into my head is certainly Down Under.
Yeah, if you were going to make a compilation of just 10 songs from the 80s, this would definitely be part of them.
Yeah, and I can see where, we mentioned that this song crossed over into the R&B charts. This song in particular, I could kind of see it had definitely that reggae vibe, but a really interesting arrangement. Of course, everybody knows the song. The flute, the instrumentation within the song is very unique. And I think that it makes it where it's interesting to listen to over and over again, no matter how many times we heard it. And how many times have we heard that song at all? Probably hundreds.
436 million times.
Yeah. That's you listening all those times.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Now, this song has not survived without some controversy.
No.
There was a little court case back in 2010. A federal court judge in Sydney found that the flute riff from Down Under had been plagiarized from the Australian song. Now, I'm going to try to pronounce this.
Yeah.
Kookaburra. Kookaburra sits in the old gum tree. written in 1934 by Marion Sinclair.
And Mr. Sinclair or Marion, is that a guy or a girl? I'm not sure.
I don't know either.
They died in 1988.
They did. So this court case was in 2010. So obviously, a family member later on was looking to maybe cash in. I don't know what the story behind it was.
Right.
But anyway, the suing party, Larkin Music, suggested 60% of the royalties, retroing back. But what they wound up with was quite small. 5% is what the court decreed. And it was only on mechanical royalties since 2002 and future profits.
So what they wanted, it ended up being way down under.
Way down under.
All right.
Interesting little tidbit. I wanted to touch in on that.
For sure.
All right. So next track, number 4, Underground.
I loved it.
I loved this too.
I absolutely loved the song. And I told Chris at this point in the album, as the fade out of Down Under was happening, I'm like, if they hit an energetic stride right here, it's going to be a home run. And sure enough, they did. They
did indeed. And this one seems a little more political. It's got some political tones in it, but still, it doesn't get too preachy.
Right. And once again, as far as influences go and things that I'm hearing within the songs and the song structures and stuff, very Dire Straits on this song.
Yeah.
I mentioned the Police already, but and the ska and the reggae qualities. A lot of these bands, especially import bands, we called them, had a fascination with reggae.
Yeah.
But this particular song, I don't know, it just reminded me of Dire Straits. And there's a couple of other moments later in the album that do as well.
Yeah. So I think that, maybe the guitar player was listening to Dire Straits back then. So there's definitely an influence here.
For sure.
All right, so next one is, I'm going to pronounce this correctly. Track 5 is Helpless Automaton.
And this song, one of my favorites on the album.
Yeah.
It's very new wave and very energetic.
Very much so, yeah.
It's like, imagine when I've always said this about the Police. Police, not a heavy band, but they're very energetic.
Yeah.
And that's the feel I got from this song. It just has a great vibe, gets to the point, and definitely has a little more hustle than the rest of the record.
Yeah, it does. And it's a great, side one closer, for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah, so that brings us then to side 2.
Yeah.
Flip the record over.
Flip it over. And I got to say, side 1 was marvelous.
It was, yeah. Very strong beginning to end.
Yes.
People Just Love to Play with Words is the opener on side 2. Track 6 on the CD.
Right. First of all, that's a great title.
Yeah.
It's very... when I saw the title, I'm like, that sounds like something Elvis Costello would sing. Now, you got to remember, back in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, Elvis Costello was like the Bob Dylan of new wave music.
Yes.
Lyrically, I mean, he was
like the godfather.
The pinnacle. Yeah. And I definitely get that kind of vibe, or at least that's what they were trying to do with this song. I wasn't as crazy about this song as I am the rest of the songs that were previously on the record.
Same with me, yeah.
But it was not bad.
It was not bad at all.
Not bad.
In fact, I think if I gave that a few more listens, I'd probably come around to love it.
I agree. And that one was written, I think, by the guitar player by himself.
That's right. Yeah. So there you go. All right. Track 7, Be Good Johnny, another single. And it's one that I think you mentioned hasn't aged as well as like a lot of the other Men at Work songs.
Right. And I like the song. And once again, it's to me, a very Dire Straits type song.
It is, yeah.
Now the song Industrial Disease, if you know that song by Dire Straits, I think actually it came out a year after this, possibly. So maybe they were kind of borrowing from it. I don't know. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but
I can imagine Mark Knopfler being a big enough Men at Work fan that he would rip them off.
Correct. But maybe something in the arrangement or the feel. I don't know. The two songs kind of remind me of one another.
Yeah.
And I do like the song. But to your point, as we talked about while we were listening, I don't like it as well as I like Who Can It Be Now or Down Under in retrospect.
Right. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
But I still love it. It's definitely, brings up childhood memories.
Yeah.
So, all right. Track 8 is Touching the Untouchables. Now we get really interesting.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what kind of jazz fans were they?
Yeah. A really interesting beginning to this song. You know? It has like stops and starts and all this weird stuff before the music kind of kicks in for good. It's like, where's it going with this?
Yeah.
But I found it to be pretty darn interesting.
It was very, very entertaining.
Yes.
Because the whole time you're wondering, where's this going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and the lyrics were cool, and overall, I have to say I liked the song.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, onward to track 9, Catch a Star.
I like this one.
I did too. Yeah, kind of reminded me of the Police Walking on the Moon.
Right. A very reggae ska type feel.
Yeah.
Kind of straightforward, no surprises really.
Yeah, it didn't really have much of a chorus. It
No.
felt more like a bridge, like it was going to a chorus, and it didn't.
Right, but a wonderful feel.
Yeah, it had
really,
a great feel to it.
Really
yeah.
cool feel, and it didn't take away from the album at all.
Not at all, no.
Yeah.
No. All right, so we're going to close out the album now with their epic song, Down by the Sea.
Yeah.
And makes me think of Genesis every time. Home by the Sea. But yeah, this one was interesting as well.
Yeah.
This almost seems like their pet song. Like, they wanted to be really grand and introspective and,
Yeah.
show
Wanted to
that
have
they
more
can-
of a studio production on the album.
show that they can construct a really interesting song and have a
Right.
great atmosphere to it. I loved it.
And it was twice as long as any of the other songs on the record. Everything else was under 4 minutes. This song checks in at almost 7 minutes.
That's right, yeah.
And I thought it was great. And
I did too, yeah.
There was no other place to put it on the album than the last track because it's it's more of a mood atmospheric song. We say that it's probably overused on this channel, but it's true. I mean, it was just a song that kind of had a certain vibe that it hung with it throughout the song.
Yeah.
But it was really cool.
It was very cool.
And it was a great way to end a record. And I got to be honest, this record was way better than I expected it to be.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect because, like I said, I had never heard anything outside of the singles.
And I love their singles. I always have. And I think for the most part, they age well, even the ones, the subsequent songs that came out after this album.
Yeah.
But man, that album, it goes by just like it's like eating Jello. It just goes right down, smooth as can be.
Yeah.
Nothing offensive about it. You're not going to get choked on it.
True. Not like Taco Bell that just runs right through you immediately
Yeah.
and makes you feel bad.
No indigestion.
Jello's much better, yes.
Yeah, I mean it's a perfect Jello album. What a weird analogy.
Jello album. Okay, we just coined a phrase here on In a Darkened Room.
Yeah, but I absolutely loved this record.
I did too. Why don't we score it right now?
Okay.
Then we can talk about if we want to change anything about the track listing.
I'm going to give it a 93 out of 100.
I was thinking 90, so we're right there. Right there about the same ballpark.
If I had to say that my least favorite song, definitely People Just Love to Play with Words would be my least favorite one. If I had to say, but once again, it did not suck. The song does not suck.
It does not at all. No.
Yeah, so even I have a hard time even criticizing it. I don't even want to criticize it because I love the record so much.
Right.
And I do think that, the majority of the great moments do happen on side one. Side one, folks, was flawless.
It was.
It was great. Tracks 1 through 5, excellent.
Okay, so there are some minor changes I want to make to the lineup. What about you? Did you think this was a perfect track list?
I didn't have a problem with it. I kind of liked track 5, seemed a little more energetic than Underground, so I might have switched those, but man, it's hard for me to
I can see
find
that.
fault.
Close the side 1 with Underground.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
But it worked fine the way it was. Side 2, I really didn't have a problem with it because I feel like if you moved the number 8, Touching the Untouchables, down, it would drag the album too far down at the end of the album.
And that's one thing that I thought about as we were getting down to the last 3 tracks was it seemed to really slow down. Even Catch a Star is not slow, but it's mid-tempo. It's got more of a down feel to it. So I think the side 2 would sound better if Be Good Johnny started it out.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because it's a fade in.
Yeah.
That kind of sets up, side 2's coming in.
Yeah.
And then I would move People Just Love to Play with Words down under Touching the Untouchables.
Okay.
Because it kind of breaks up that slowness there. So that's kind of my preference.
Yeah. I could dig that. That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right.
But it's hard. I'll tell you what. The criticisms of this, I mean, we're really, really, really having to look for something because...
Yeah, we're splitting hairs here.
Yeah, and we noticed on Spotify, even some of the lesser-known tracks are getting a tremendous amount of listens.
Yeah, the least listened to is still at 1.1 million.
Right, which was the People Just Love to Play with Words, our least favorite song. So.
Yeah, Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
It does indeed. Yeah.
But check this album out, folks. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you love 80s music. You know, it was really cool. And I tell you this, it has a freshness to it, you know?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I don't know what they were doing over there in Australia in the 70s that influenced this stuff. You know, I'm assuming they liked the Police, because I definitely hear that vibe, and like the ska and reggae. But it's an album with some pretty decent depth, great musicianship, tight production, really good pop sensibilities.
A great snapshot into 1981 when they recorded this album.
Yeah.
You know, you have your little bit of reggae influence, you have your new wave influence,
right,
and you even have, you know, the Dire Straits, you know,
the political, serious song
all
here
of
and
it.
there.
All of it's here.
Yeah.
So if you want to feel like you're in 81, put this album on and listen to it.
Absolutely.
And once you do, let us know. Do you think it stands up well today? Drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Hit like on the video if you like what we discussed, and let us know your favorite Men at Work song.
Sounds great.
All right, for now, let's play some trivia.
Let's do it.
All right, let's
do some trivia.
Test our knowledge. Show people that we're not as smart as we always think we are. All right.
That's been proven a lot lately.
This category is the 90s.
Okay.
All right.
A different decade. That's all right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see how we do on this one.
All right.
What was Mariah Carey's first hit?
First, Vision of Love.
All right. Yep. That's one of the choices. That's also I Don't Want to Cry, Love Takes Time, and Someday.
It was Vision of Love.
Oh, it's definitely Vision of Love. This was an easy one. FYI, all of the songs listed reached number 1.
How about that? Yeah, she was a major artist, man, and she was a machine when she came out. She could definitely.
Oh yeah, she
sing.
was cranking them out.
Yeah.
And that first album of hers, I joke about hating Mariah Carey all the time, but that first album, man,
it's really good.
There's some great songs on there. Vision of Love is definitely one of my favorites.
And I think it was a perfect song for her to start out with, you know.
Totally,
like a really good, accessible song that shows off her voice, and she looked so adorable in the videos and stuff. And what happened? All right. Well, anyway, Mariah Carey. There you go. There's your answer. Vision of Love.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll be back again with another episode very soon. Take care.
Later.